found it while I was cleaning, tucked away where no one would look. It wasn't the dust that shocked me, it was the messages.
She texted me asking why I'd been so distant lately, why I barely even looked at her. I told her something just felt off in the house, like a silence that was trying too hard to hide a noise. She said I was overthinking again and just needed some rest. But I replied that instincts don't lie, especially when you start noticing patterns. She just laughed it off and quickly changed the subject. Later that night I heard it. A soft, low buzzing sound coming from the hallway vent. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just the old house settling, nothing to worry about. But the buzzing came back, this time with a strange urgency, a vibration I could feel against the wall. My curiosity finally won. I grabbed a screwdriver and slowly opened the vent cover. Reaching inside, my fingers brushed against something small and warm. My hand hesitated for a second before I pulled it out. It was a phone, a hidden phone. I sat on the floor, just staring at it. My heart wasn't racing. It was steady but heavy, like an anchor dropping in my chest. Just as I was processing it, the screen lit up with a flood of incoming messages. The contact name at the top of the screen read, Hubby. My breath caught in my throat as confusion washed over me. I tried to unlock it, and my first guess, a simple pattern, worked instantly. The screen opened to a long list of messages. The language, the tone, the little jokes. It all sounded exactly like my wife, but she was writing to someone else. Before I could scroll any further, the phone started ringing. The same contact, Hubby, was calling. On pure instinct, I answered the call but stayed completely silent. I just waited. And then a voice I knew far too well said a soft hello. It was my brother. There was no doubt, not a single shred. A long, heavy silence stretched between us until he finally asked, Is anyone there? I said his name, my voice calm, completely level, without a trace of anger. I heard him curse under his breath, and then he hung up. My hands started to tremble slightly, but my mind was crystal clear. I picked up my own phone and sent a message to my wife. You need to come home, now. She replied almost immediately, her tone casual. What's wrong? Is everything okay? I just wrote back, we need to have a serious conversation. Right now. She arrived home quickly, a forced calm plastered on her face as she walked through the door. I didn't say a word. I just placed the hidden phone on the coffee table between us. Her face went pale, all the color draining away as recognition hit her like a physical blow. Where did you find that? She asked, her voice weak and trembling. I looked at her and said, Hiding places have a way of telling their own stories. She started to explain, her words tumbling out in broken sentences, mixed with tears and excuses. I cut her off. How long? I asked, my voice flat. She mumbled that it started with just comfort, late-night talks when she felt lonely. I replied, that comfort crossed a line a long, long time ago. She said she felt unheard, alone in our marriage. And I told her that loneliness is a reason, but it's never an excuse for betrayal. Her crying grew harder, and she started asking for forgiveness. I needed to know. Did my brother know you were my wife? Did he know he was doing this to me? She nodded, admitting he knew everything from the very beginning. I nodded slowly back at her, feeling something fundamental inside me just detach. I picked up the burner phone and called my brother back. He answered on the first ring, his voice nervous and thick with shame. I didn't raise my voice. I just asked him, why? He stammered, saying he never planned for any of it to happen. Plans aren't necessary when you keep making the same choice over and over again, I told him. He apologized, asking if we could please talk about this later. I said, later is just a place to hide your guilt, and I ended the call. I turned back to my wife. She was begging me, pleading with me not to destroy the family. I looked at her, the tears streaming down her face, and said, the destruction already happened. It just happened quietly. She asked the question I knew was coming, Are you leaving me? I told her, No, I'm choosing dignity. She started making promises. Promising transparency, promising to change, right here, right now. Promises don't mean anything without consequences, I said. Without rushing, I walked to our bedroom and started packing a bag. She followed me, crying, apologizing over and over. I asked her for one thing, space, without the drama. I stayed with a friend that night. I barely slept, but when the morning came, it didn't bring anger. It brought a strange, cold clarity. I sent a message to my brother, setting permanent boundaries. He replied with a long paragraph full of regret and excuses. I read it and I didn't reply. That conversation was over. Then I messaged my wife. I told her we needed to separate for now. She asked if there was any chance of fixing things eventually. I told her that if trust is ever going to be rebuilt, it has to start with distance and time. The days that followed were quiet. We had minimal communication. I poured everything I had into my work, into rebuilding some sense of myself. My brother sent another apology message a week later. I replied simply wishing him healing, but far away from my life. My wife sent long messages, filled with remorse and detailed accounts of her feelings. I read every one of them, but I didn't respond right away. When I finally did, I laid out clear, non-negotiable conditions for any kind of closure. Honesty would replace all secrecy, professional counseling would replace denial, and respect would replace the casual familiarity that led to this. She agreed to everything without argument. We met a week later, in the daylight at a neutral coffee shop. I returned the hidden phone to her, untouched since that night. She looked me in the eyes and acknowledged the full extent of the damage she had caused. I accepted her apology, not to reopen the wounds, but to finally close that chapter. We signed the separation papers quietly and respectfully. The dynamics of our entire family had been permanently altered. Back at the house, the vent and the hallway stayed empty, and slowly the house itself started to feel lighter, cleaner. I had a choice to make. I could have chosen bitterness, I could have chosen revenge, but I didn't. I chose peace. One chose myself. The story didn't end with a dramatic confrontation or a quest for vengeance. It ended with truth and with self-respect. Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking and subscribing for more content. Take care.